And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of the broadcast. It's been a short broadcast so far. Hopefully, we're able to make up for that, and hopefully we can maybe change some of the schedule next season so that we can have extra games and we can have a bit of a longer broadcast schedule, or even do something else with the downtime as well and pad out the broadcast with maybe some, some other facets, maybe some miniature building, maybe some painting. Who knows? Who knows? But regardless, we have one series left. It's going to be a best of 5 TvT between Cure and ByuN. Also, I apologize. It kind of slipped my mind just because everything began so quickly. But I did fail to open up the predictions, so we do have predictions open, or will soon be open for the next series. So you can get your gambler going as Vitas are done, and we have our set here. We have game 1 on Title Citadel, game 2 on Throne of Dunes, game 3 is going to be on Missing You Today, Mothership, and then 10,000 Feet. We have our vetoes done, our 5 upcoming maps. Missing You Today is an older TLMC map from last season. I said this before, I do like that we're using some TLMC maps in this tournament map pool. I don't like that we're using some older TLMC maps, not some newer ones. Referring specifically to these are some maps that were featured in the previous top 16 of last Team Liquid map contest. Personally, I would like to feature some, brand new maps instead, but regardless, we're jumping into our first game. Let's go.
I really can't tell who's going to win, but if we're just going to be that, we're just going to be the guys that just pull up.
And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It's Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat.
Keep it interesting.
Look at that.
Crazy.
We're so contrasting.
Yeah, it's like we're totally different, man.
We're proxying. Let's go. 2 SCVs.
The second time this map.
2 SCVs are being sent across the map, but double proxy Reaper out of ByuN.
I don't know if that's the case. I was talking about Necropolis.
Oh, Necropolis. Oh, yeah.
And then we didn't even see it anyway.
Again, it's very common to see proxies in TvT. That's why I was alluding to this previously, that this might also be a short series.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Taito Citadel, perhaps specifically, but we were just saying that ByuN is a bit of an aggressive player. Well, he's proxying 2 barrels.
Double gas opener. No. Cure's playing safe.
Apparently, that is the flavor of the month. Here we go. ByuN setting these 2 ranks up outside the base of Cure, and he is going to see it very quickly here.
No shot. He sees everything.
Amazing scout by Cure. Even going to be a little bit annoying. Oh, I feel like he should go for the other one. That's still making the Raxus halfway down.
Yeah, that's true.
Minor detail, though. I mean, I guess once that Rax finishes, the SCV comes
Cure
over anyway.
Sucks.
I could have done that better.
What do you mean he didn't target the correct SCV?
So far, good response. Now, remember, what I was alluding to as well, Cure went for a double gas opener. That means that Cure's going for a faster factory. That means he's going for a faster Hellion.
It gets trapped in that little tiny corner, though, the RNG favoring ByuN.
And when the Hellion pops out, he defends. So ByuN is on the timer.
He had targeted it from the beginning.
Okay, if he brought in a second SCV, it actually does make sense.
Yeah, man, no, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
That is for real. It is going to be the Proxy Reaper, though, like we said. So, obviously, ByuN realizing that Cure knows what's happening, he's not just going to go right up into the Reaper jump spot because he's expecting Cure to just be sitting there with his units like he is. So he's making sure that he's as safe as possible with the initial Reaper. Doesn't want to just suicide it for nothing. Will go up the ramp, get the scout, see exactly what's happening, throw out the nade, and then set up the second Reaper to come all the way. Will
he gets the Reaper.
Keep it alive.
Massive
gets it
pickup.
Across, but
he gets
nice
oh my god.
From the SCVs. I was about to say, will at least trade out on the Marine and then get
That's
out.
kind of game, not gonna lie. That is brutal. That is a rough start. Is he gonna lose the 3rd Reaper? No, he loses all 3.
This is a disastrous opener from ByuN.
That could not have gone any worse. More Reapers lost than Marines. That is impossible when you're proxying 2 racks almost. I love the way Cure didn't get too distracted by the Marine that went up the ramp, and then he still kept his units close enough to the jump spot to be able to trap that second Reaper that came in. I feel like that was the clutch moment there. ByuN's still making Reapers right now. Doesn't want to just lift his racks up, send them home, and have.
But when you scout and play safe against Mr. Proxy Reaper himself, we're not casting Maru. Who are you talking about?
This point, and Cure's got to be feeling very
Kappa.
Even getting an SCV.
Yeah, nice counter attack here with the Hellion by Cure.
Delay the CC as well.
Delays the factory, delays the CC.
Be made there. That's crazy. That's actually a wall. Is it, or is he just like stopped for some reason? Okay, that is a wall, I guess. That doesn't look like it's a wall, but okay. Anyways, the double Reaper will come back. We'll be able to kill off the Hellion at least, so that's nice. The other Hellion also is in risk of dying here, as the 3rd Reaper.
Messy play here by Cure, losing both Hellions.
Are quite fast.
Okay,
so
losing
ByuN's
one.
Not going to be able to catch that. We'll be able to get that back home. But yeah, this is definitely not the opener that ByuN was hoping for when he was going for this particular strategy. Obviously, you want to get much more damage. You want to trade out a couple SCVs. You want to be able to limit the Marine count. Losing those Reapers to
delays the CC again
back at home is really not great for him.
And he still can't finish this CC. The Hellion loops around and actually gets back in. There's a Cyclone at home now to defend against these Reapers, so they can no longer do anything. And look how much time this Hellion is buying. The SCV not able to finish the CC for so long.
Does he kill another SCV?
The Reapers nowhere to be seen right now. They're actually jumping up into the main. This feels like it's gone so wrong for ByuN here. Finally, the Cyclone will get rid of that Hellion.
Bro, I feel like this is one of those games where you're playing on ladder, you just leave. Like the moment that Hellion just continues to deny.
Yeah.
Look at ByuN sighing on the webcam as well. He realizes the deep doo-doo that he's in. I was going to say something else, maybe I shouldn't. I mean, like when he sacked those extra Reapers right there as well.
So ByuN is in a really rough position here. Is he dead completely? Not completely. There are ways to recover in TvT. TvT is one of those mirror matchups where you can be down in supply and actually take better fights and better trades. That's kind of what positional play is all about when it comes to your tank production, when it comes to drop play as well. So there are ways to have a smaller army and be able to excel with it, but it's going to be very difficult. And of course a lot of pressure, and ByuN is going straight for a third CC.
Cyclones as well, so looks like he wants to try and commit to some sort of mech play while going for a fast 3 CC. This is one way to try to get back into the game, I guess.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, he does have a very quick third CC. If he can try and keep Kira at home while he gets the eco advantage, this could work out for him.
I believe this should still be ByuN. Like, yes, he got Macfield, but I think that's just for early game map control.
There's a Viking out, so he
yeah, Stim is on the way. It's ByuN.
Here come the Cyclones moving across the map right now. Obviously, we see there are 2 tanks here. Cure has his units in the main as well, just in case there's anything flying in there. Oh, it's actually Stim on the way for ByuN as well.
Yeah, he's actually switching it up into Bio anyways, despite going for the Cyclone upgrade, which is generally what you would expect to be showing that you're going mech, but we'll be just going up into the
now going into early Macfields is seen quite often in these positions, just to try to have some kind of map control early, just because your bio count is so low. Like rushing to Stim early doesn't really help you. Meanwhile, Kira moves out and he does skip the Zelnaga tower, so ByuN sees nothing.
Go for one of those big like SCV pull like defenses to try and swing it so you can just kind of get on the map, but then you're obviously going to lose a lot of SCVs, and ByuN behind on the worker count from the beginning. So I like this move from Cure. We'll see how committed he wants to be with it.
Yeah, and I really like that he took this path down the left of the map, avoiding the watchtower. So, I mean, ByuN has no idea this is happening until the units arrive in his natural.
Very nice
units are all of the watchtower here. The interference matrix goes down on that tank, forced to unsiege, run back to the main, and that
very
allows
quick unsiege.
Cure to just siege all his tanks in the main natural wall. Gonna lose a unit there, but this CC might actually go down.
He's going
the
for
SCV is frantically trying to repair it. It looks like they may just have the healing to do so. These Ravens got to be careful not to die. Liberator across the map as well. I think it's getting a bit messy here.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit chaotic, but I mean, you cannot just look at this and think that Kier's not coming out ahead, and he's still going to go ahead and kill off this orbital. The tank's on the high ground, get some nice shells off, but it doesn't matter. Kier comes out with a very nice defense of the Proxy Reaper and then swings it across the map for a Game 1 victory.
Yeah, that was kind of a textbook defense we saw from Cure, right? The scout was so quick.
GG, well played, Cure. He does shut ByuN down. To be honest, even if he didn't scout the proxy, he would have been fine. Remember, he went for a double gas opener anyway, so he already had the build order kind of advantage against the proxy 2-racks. So Cure, he was already in a strong position. ByuN, he kind of fumbled the ball when it came to the control, when it came to the unit micro. It wasn't just about being scouted, but ByuN, remember, he lost 3 Reapers at the start of the game. That was brutal. Like, even if he gets scouted, like even if it wasn't scouted like that, that was an insane brutal start for ByuN to lose that many units and to lose control of the game so quickly. So it was a really rough start there for ByuN. There was maybe some opportunities to recover. As we pointed out, we saw that even though ByuN had Macfield, even though he had Cyclones, even though he had map control with the Zelnaga tower, Cure, he did veer off the left hand side and he just avoided the tower entirely. Avoided the tower. GG, well played. With that, ByuN, they had no way to slow him down and no way to try to buy time, no way to try to counteract the army of Cure. GG.
Yeah, I gotta feel like ByuN's not too happy with that game, the way it went. Like, not his best execution. We know he can micro these Reapers so well. We think him as that micro Terran, right?
Yeah, I mean, and Reaper as well is the thing that he made his name off of. He won a BlizzCon with that, so.
Yeah, so not the best from him, but he can definitely pull it back in the next game. I'm still thinking about that Hellion as well, denying the CC for like
crazy.
a minute or something. Maybe not that long, but it was a very long time. And Cure able to close out that game. We move on to Throne of the Dunes. A nice big map here. We do see an SCV moving out very quickly already.
Let's go.
Okay, well, maybe he will just roll it right back. Maybe, okay, so
two
maybe he
SCVs.
looks at that
Yep,
game
two
and it's
SCVs,
like,
proxy
okay,
G-Rax.
well, one,
Same build.
I got scouted immediately, and that's probably not going to happen again. I can put it in a different location, and it's not going to be as easily scouted. And two, he knows that the micro went really it was just an unfortunate game. It was one of those games where you just kind of throw in the garbage. So, like, okay, there's nothing really to learn from this.
Very quickly here. What I feel like is more important and more imperative is, no. So what I was going to say is that there's a higher chance, because Throne of Dunes is a more longer macro game, that Cure plays greedy and goes for a faster CC. Do you see what I see? Double gas. Double gas open out of Cure. So Cure is going for the same build. What does that mean? That means that Cure is going for a delayed expansion into a faster factory and faster Hellion production. Cure, he has the tools to defend. Even if he doesn't scout, he has the tools to shut it down.
Last game, it was kind of on the third base and easily scouted, but even if you send a worker to the third base, you're not going to see these. You'll have to go a little bit further.
It's Proxy Rauder.
There's actually going to be a tech lab, Gemini.
Oh, okay, that is a switch up. It was in the back of my mind as well. I'm wondering if he's going to try to bring this one out, because sometimes I've seen it where like you float them in the main base. Have you seen this stuff where they like way back? These Terran players, dirty Terran players, man. They lift up the barracks and then build the tech labs in their main base and then just rally the Marauders out. That is obviously really ridiculous, but this one is going to be pretty far away from the ramp. It's not
the proxy marauder in the main is usually done at the beginning of the season. Even in recent seasons and recent years, you do see it, but usually it's done when players aren't fully familiar with the map themselves. Usually.
Will this actually see it? Not unless he readjusts his position in here, his kind of path.
I mean, this Reaper goes across the map and there's nothing at home to defend.
Outside the vision range of that Reaper, so ByuN gets away with it this time. He will have to defend the Reaper at home, which can be difficult, you know, without any units here. So we'll have to see. I guess once you see the Reaper here, you're just going to go with the Marauders, attack the Reaper with the SCVs, pull back the hurt ones, and here we go.
He has to
First
cancel.
two Marauders start to make their way into that
CC's
natural
still on the
base
way.
of Cure.
Yeah, he's going to be able to kill off this command center, going to force it to cancel at least, and hopefully Cure is paying attention. That would be a crazy mistake if he doesn't let this, if he just kind of lets it finish. But he's going to just sit it there for now because, of course, he wants to do it at the last possible second. The Marauders
now, ideally, Cure, he wants to surround these Marauders. He needs to surround as he gets a blind blocked. There's a cancel. Up, the boys are here.
Coming in to try and get a surround, but good micro from ByuN to keep
very nice
away
micro
from the ramp to make sure they don't just instantly get surrounded and killed off. SCV is very good against Marauders if they can get the surround. And
Hellion
this is
barely survives.
Good for ByuN so far.
Yeah, I think ByuN's done it. Yeah, ByuN, he breaks up the ramp, he denies the bunker, no safety bunker out of Cure, late reaction, and we have a back and forth.
Cure does have a mine somewhere. If he can get a big shot, that might be a way he can survive this. But here come the SCVs. Oh, the mine actually got targeted, just survived.
Oh, the winner mine goes down.
Fall, and I feel like that's the only chance Cure had of hanging on here as all these SCVs start to fall. Good stutter set by ByuN. Just got to keep making Marauders, keep Kai in here, and I feel like you're never going to be able to make this defense here.
Yeah, this is looking really tough. The SCVs are so low as well. He's trying to continue to use them to body block, but when they're already 1 or 2 hits away from death, they don't actually body block anything. They're just dying one at a time.
Oof.
And the Reaper over on the other side, you can't just kind of leave it there as Cure because it's going to get surrounded exactly like this. Oh, wow. Actually slithers out. Reapers are the
Reaper goes down.
units possible. But again, you just eventually lose it. It's a unit that you have to be microing. So
yeah, and again, it's going to be too much here. GG gets cold and ByuN ties up the series.
With the aggression, still coming back in game number 2.
These guys watched the Mario series. ByuN said, oh, that looks pretty fun.
Wow, yeah, all the pros agree. They're just like, well, let's just speed
So,
run
winding back when it comes to the game itself, Cure had a very messy reaction. So remember, Cure, he got across the map with the Reaper, and he was even given time with the Marauders attacking the CC for a couple of seconds as well. What do you need to do in that time, in those precious seconds once you realize something is wrong? Bunker. You need to build that bunker as quickly as possible. If you remember, the Reaper got in, guided against the units and was given a couple of seconds there. We had the Marauders show up. They also did attack the CC as well, and a bunker was never thrown down. Delayed cancellation as well, and it actually took until the Marauders pushed up the ramp and killed the depot. I don't think the bunker began until after the depot was killed as well. Like, it was such a late reaction there by Cure. If I remember correctly, he even didn't cancel the CC until after the depot was killed as well. Like there was just such a delayed reaction at a Cure, and that allowed for ByuN to just overwhelm and excel. Without that bunker finishing, you never can hold there. It's just such a difficult defense because of how bulky, just because of how tanky those Marauders are against those early units like Hellions, like Marines, like SCVs as well, and Reapers. So you need some kind of wall. You need that kind of defensive structure, and without it, I mean, you saw just how well they can just snowball out of control. GG, well played. A messy reaction at a Cure, and now I think they're cutting to a break. Yeah, they come to a break here for the rest of the series. Let's go. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Ooh, hope you enjoyed that lovely Brutal OST as we've returned. We returned here with the tail end of the broadcast here, where we're nearing the end of the broadcast already. We've barely been live. Like, I want to say the breaks have been longer than the games. And there's been a lot of breaks, to be fair. But yeah, we're here, we're back. We already wrapped up with Mara versus Down, and now we're live with ByuN versus Cure. We're tied up 1-1, and we're getting into game number 3. Game 3 is going to be on Missing You Today. As a reminder, Missing Today is an older TLMC map, a very large map of the map pool. Now, I'm curious to see if any changes have been made. We did have a lot of critique for this map when it first was revealed last season, in regards to the amount of gold bases, in regards to how defendable the expansions are at the natural 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and how it felt like a very, very macro but an overly defensive map in general. But I'm curious to see how it has changed, if at all. Let's go.
Wait, why am I saying Pronos? Oh man,
we are mentally still in the last series.
I am mentally
we didn't
done.
see enough of that TvT.
They're both playing Terran. It's ByuN down here on the red with the Terran. Oh, I don't know, man. My brain is a little fried right now. I'm not gonna lie. These games have broken me.
This is just yeah. These games are not for the lighthearted. Let's be honest here. And at least this time, there's no SCVs walking across the map at the super early point, so it looks like we might actually have
we going
a normal game
for an economic build.
We're not going to have an insta proxy 2 racks in any regard.
Early gas out of ByuN.
Both barracks from both players on their own side of the map. So that's a great thing to see if you are a fan of long-term StarCraft.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get some mid and late game action, honestly, between these two. I feel like the micro is always explosive when you have ByuN added into the mix.
There's a higher chance of that happening here.
There's a plethora of different builds that he can deploy. Timing attacks, I feel like in particular from Cure, were so good in previous years in his TvT, but I feel like I haven't really gotten to see much of Cure's TvTs lately, or at least I haven't been able to cast it. You know, RSL last year was so Protoss heavy throughout the entire playoffs that...
Hell yeah, brother.
When Cure was playing, I feel like it was almost always a TVP.
Yeah, man. I like that we do have a couple more Terrans.
So for those who haven't been watching much of Cure and ByuN, they play quite often when it comes to online tournaments and online weekly cups and open cups in general. They're both very active in the tournament scene, more so than someone like Barney, for example, or Maru. So there's a lot of information, a lot of games regarding ByuN and Cure. They're often very aggressive with each other, not just one-sided, but Cure is also very, very decisive, and likewise so is ByuN. So that's why there's a higher chance this does end early. I would say the map does facilitate for longer games in general. That is true, as we do have a different build. ByuN going for a faster CC, Cure going double gas into a faster factory. But the map itself does lean towards longer games. A lot of this, I feel like, will come down to the third base timing, though. Will come down to whether they can break each other as they take their thirds.
He's lost maybe 1 map in total,
which is not be surprised.
Yeah, it's just nuts what Maru's been able to do. As I have Cure coming into the main base right now, the Reaper actually almost getting that SCV, building the factory, as ByuN did go for a gas first opening, so it's just a little bit faster in terms of the tech. Or oh no, that's behind the command center, excuse me. I'm all over the place today.
That's fine. I was barely paying attention either. Don't worry about But yeah, it is a much faster CC from ByuN, but Cure is making his on the low ground and is being more aggressive with the Reaper, so he has the space to be able to do that. So he will still end up having about the same-ish timed CC with the time it takes for ByuNs to get over to the natural. And the double Reaper coming on in, there's actually nothing much
nice
here to
pickups. Oh my
defend
god.
from ByuN. So
The Hellions
it will
late.
just be the Reapers getting on top of ByuNs, waiting for that Hellion to get out his ByuN, so he will be able to chase down the initial Reaper and might get the second one before the Hellion meets it.
Oh
and
my
will
god.
actually get it. So a nice
miss the
kill
volley.
there from ByuN, as Cure needs to find his way back home with this, excuse me, with this Hellion, so he doesn't lose anything else.
Yeah, very nice move there by ByuN. Should allow him to send that command center onto the low ground as soon as it finishes morphing into an orbital. And we'll see where each player is going to go from here. So far, very mirrored.
Personally, I would love to see a pan of top right. I want to know what the bases are looking like, just because they used to be goal bases, and I'm curious to see how that has changed, if at all.
Yeah, no, I was I was almost expecting to just see Cure go for a proxy 2 racks at this point. Like, that honestly could have been a pretty decent mind game to be throwing in here, but we'll just be playing it super standard, very stock standard from Cure, as we honestly expect from him. Loves to go for that type of stuff. It's going to be a Raven tank with the Interference Major coming out for Cure again, whereas ByuN trying to go a little bit more aggressive like usual, going for the Medevac early with some Marines loaded up and the Cyclones coming across the map as well. So he's going to try to do a little bit of elevator play perhaps to try and get into the main base. We might try to do a little bit of double prong in the main and natural. We'll see what he wants to go for.
Bearing in mind that this build from ByuN means that his Raven is late, and it means that his tank production is delayed as well. So this is a pretty big commitment here by ByuN. He has to make this worth it. We'll see if he can as a tank till siege.
On vision still maintains, so Cyclone actually able to pick that off right now here by ByuN. But I think there's enough here on the low ground for Cure that should ByuN want to get some damage done. It probably won't be here in the natural expansion, but we'll see. He is continuing to rally Marines here straight onto the front lines, and Cure is getting well prepared there in the main base with the Cyclone and a ton of Marines.
Yeah, I thought for a moment there was going to be a chance for ByuN to just kind of just send it in the natural.
Second starport. Second starport's only for Cure. He's going for a 2-2 base all in. Okay, hyper aggression out of Cure.
Obviously, it's very difficult to attack into that without any.
It is not normal to get a second starport this quickly, and I'm a little bit concerned if ByuN gets a faster CC. If he expands earlier here, that might just be it.
Himself back home, doesn't want to lose any of these units for free.
Now, so very quickly, what is this build? So 2-2 base all in. What it means is early Viking production. You can already see that we are reactoring out Vikings, making 3 Vikings at a time. That's a heavy Viking count early on in TvT. You can see the observers pointing it out and hoping that the casters notice. But with this many Vikings, you can take over the skies and try to end the game with a Liberator as well.
Seeing that his opponent was cutting
third
that, going for the fast
CC!
medevac.
ByuN's expanding.
CC the third here for ByuN. He is building that on site, and that is going to be the target here for Cure. And Cure has already been a tempo ahead of ByuN in terms of unit production out of the starports, and now adding in a second starport in the natural.
The third isn't the target. The natural should be the target here. Like, Cure should be going for the kill.
Compositions that lean heavily into siege tanks, like these ones here. Vision is everything, especially early in the game.
And it's all about delaying this for ByuN. ByuN has to delay this push as best he can.
At a premium, the Vikings allow you to secure air superiority if you have more of them than your opponent, and that gives you the vision that you need to slowly leapfrog your siege tanks forward here. As Cure is now posturing in front of the third base.
Disables both tanks.
Being thrown down on both
Gets
sides.
buried.
Disables on both of the siege tanks there of ByuN, and so Cure is just able to absolutely push through into this third base without too much of a fight.
One more tank behind this.
Anchor the defense here, the junction between the natural.
It's getting
and the
close.
third, but there is just way too much.
Land
here
the
for Cure.
Vikings.
Yeah, ByuN looking like he
Land
wants to keep this position because obviously this third base is so close to finishing. If he could just get something here to defend, push the tanks back a little bit, get in that.
Yeah, that was a messy soul from Cure as he did overextend with his ground army. He bled out a lot of Marines and tanks. He does still deny the third, but ideally he wanted more than just the third
ByuN,
base.
I don't really see him finding any way to keep this third base alive. He's going to have to cancel.
At least Cure is taking his own
That's
third
gonna
behind
be
this.
going there. So great play from Cure, going to find himself in a perfect position coming into this mid game, taking a third base himself, getting into the stim, which will be a little bit later than his opponent since he went for so many Vikings, he went for so many tanks earlier on. But honestly, this is looking really, really good for Cure.
Yeah, and the pivot coming in from ByuN is very interesting to me. Instead of rebuilding the command center, instead the macro play he went for was he spent 300 minerals on 2 engineering bays and then added in some additional barracks. And
does he?
He
does him! Oh my god!
Stim!
That is sick.
Massive
Dude, when have you
pickoff.
ever seen a Viking harass sniping stim before? Like, what the heck is this? Cure is just just styling on ByuN right now.
We were talking about it before we got into Casa TvTs. I said I was excited for some Viking plays coming in with Cure. I know he loves to build that second starport. He loves to really boost the Viking numbers and get damage done with them.
And now the Liberator has arrived to make use of his air control. A little bit too far forward out of Cure, though.
I mean, the only thing that's really going against Cure right now is that he has less SCVs. Since he had to cut some to be able to go for such an aggressive overall stance, he will be a little
it was a 2.2 base all in, but Cure is still going, he's still pushing forward. Again, his ground army is still very low. The boys are being pulled.
Advantage that ByuN had with the fast stim. You can even see ByuN trying to just kill off this push with the SCV pull, but just doesn't think he can go for it. He is sneakily making the third CC on the bottom left, so if Cure doesn't realize that's happening, that might kind of come back to bite him a little bit if he just expects ByuN.
And you can see that the Liberator is slowly pushing forward, gaining more ground. The boys are being pulled. Final fight for ByuN.
ByuN realizes he's going to have to try and break through, so he's pulling all the SCVs out of the natural expansion. The Vikings standing strong in the air right here for Cure, but the SCVs claiming a citizen's arrest on all of Cure's ground
the
army.
Vikings,
They are able to take down a siege tank, taking out a ton of the Marines, but finally the Vikings land. And at the very end, it's almost 30 SCVs falling here for ByuN. His economy is in disarray. Natural expansion barely mining, and even the engineering bay is now getting focused down by the Vikings.
Yeah, ByuN is really trying to stick in this game. I mean, he's only got a few Marines and 2 tanks to his name when there's just a massive amount of units right here. Like,
he's trying to save the show. He saw how quick the first couple games were.
God, I know those casters just want to keep casting, man. Okay, hold up. You know what? Let me get a few more Marines. I'll drop this mule. Let me reposition my barracks. Maybe that'll keep me in this game.
No, I'm all for it, man. I want to see these players just kind of clawed out here at the very end because, you know, maybe there's some kind of miracle here for ByuN, but whenever you get air superiority like this with 2 starport Vikings, it's so difficult for the
he tries to break out into the tank line. Land the Vikings, Pappy. Land them.
SCVs able to push through once more now that Stim is done. But again, at what cost? You're down to 32.
Again, these have been late reactions out of Cure. Twice now we've seen him very, very late to land the Vikings, so we could have seen a cleaner execution out of Cure, but overall he is still crippling ByuN. Like, back at home, Cure is getting a third base, fully saturated, getting his production up and running, catching up on the upgrades as well.
Together and be like, okay, why are you in this game still? And he's just going to send a Marine around, he's just going to see it, and then he kills it, and then, okay, ByuN's like, all right, you found my thing. I guess I'll leave now. Because that's really all that ByuN is waiting for. He's just trying to see if this hidden third base can maybe eke out a few more things and just catch Cure by surprise. But he's now moving across the map, and he's going to get totally surrounded. Cure is 1 map away from making it further on into the playoffs.
Man, that was a pretty fun TvT.
Yeah,
I have to say that was a nice duration. It was a good length there, that TvT. It wasn't too short.
Yeah. Not too long, not too short. We got the Goldilocks TvT right there.
Yeah, Goldilocks TvT, I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of. This was a 2-base all-in. It was a 2-base all-in out of Cure, winding it back. Remember, he went for a two-board play, rushing to a second starport into mass Viking production. This build has been around for a good amount of years at this point, has gone through different iterations. This is the more modern version, which does allow you to get a third CC. If you remember back in the day, you wouldn't get a Raven with this. This was a Raven opener into the reactored Viking production. In the past, you would go straight Viking into Liberator. So this is a more, again, a newer adaptation that did begin, I want to say last year. I want to say last year is when this variation did start to pop up. So this is a newer variation, but regardless, it still hits very, very hard, of course. And again, ByuN unfortunately was blindly being greedy. He didn't know what was going on. He did not scout the main. He did not scout the starport. Didn't know how aggressive Cure was being, and ByuN was getting a third CC on location. That's why we had the reaction, if you recall, when we saw the third CC. We were like, no. We reacted the way we did, because once we saw that third base, it meant that there was no shot that ByuN could ever defend that third. Like, it was just a big investment there, blindly against heavy 2-base play. GG, well played. Meanwhile, we're going to be getting into game number 4. We'll see if Cure will close it out here and now, or if ByuN can force the ace match, as Cure is on match point.
I think his wrists
on match point.
are healthy enough. He doesn't need he can play Terran.
He
doesn't need to lower himself.
Bienvenidos este Monteón.
I think
Bienvenidos.
that's going to be a banger of a TvT if we get it. But honestly, should ByuN be able to come back in this best of 5? That would be a banger TvT between him and Mara as well. As game number 4 has loaded in. Let's go to Mothership now. It is do or die for ByuN. He does not want to fall into that lower bracket. His Cure spawns, excuse me, here in the top left side. ByuN down in the bottom center.
All right.
ByuN for Shopify, Cure for Team Liquid.
Thrown down this time. I like this little mind game from ByuN though, putting that supply depot away from the ramp, perhaps making it so that way if Cure does scout with something, maybe if he's trying to be super greedy and then very efficient with his timing, he just goes up the ramp, sees nothing there, and then just quickly goes to the other spawn location to try and get that spawn ASAP. And even with the barracks as well, kind of putting that in that spot as well. So I like that little tiny move from ByuN. It might not even come into a factor in this game, but it's a cute little move that if you're wondering why he's putting those in such strange locations, that's probably the reason why he's doing it.
Oh, and it's going to be 2x Reaper as well, isn't it?
2x.
I like that as well. It's very cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's unlucky.
Cute opening coming in from ByuN, and the spawns favor him ever so slightly. There is a little bit of
So there's a lot going on here. First things first, ByuN is going 2x Reaper. For those who don't know, ByuN's build is supposed to hard counter proxy racks. So if Cure was going for a proxy, then ByuN would completely hard counter him. We can see that Cure is playing safe, and oh, he's going for 3 racks Reaper. But remember, okay, very quickly, the reason why ByuN is doing this is because he believes that Cure is going to be greedy, actually. I mean, one of two things. Either if Cure is hyper greedy or if Cure is going for a proxy, then he'd be in trouble. But Cure is going double gas. Cure is going for a safe build.
This particular strategy. So also Cure going for the SCV scout to the wrong location first. So he's going to be getting this information.
And when I say safe, it means that Cure is getting a faster factory. You can see it. Factory's on the way. Cure, he has to pull the boys and defend until he gets his Hellions out.
In the main base. There's not going to be a chance where ByuN walls this off in time. Oh my god, is Cure just going home?
I think he's going to scout with a Reaper instead. The SCV is supposed to be mining. But
True.
This is dangerous. So going for the Reaper scout means that if Cure loses that first Reaper, I mean, that could be game. Like, every unit matters so much in this kind of game state. He sees.
Reapers are going to meet here. Everything looking very normal here as far as Cure is concerned, but there are a lot more Reapers in production right now.
He's going to be forced to cancel.
ByuN. Cure is going into the factory that will be finished in just a moment. Hellions will surely be started by Cure as soon as that factory is done. But
you can see ByuN, he's trying to catch that first Reaper.
Deal with all of the
He's
Reapers
looking.
coming across the map in just a few moments.
Yeah, the first few are going to find their way across. There's 2 defensively for Cure as well. So it looks like for now, ByuN still is doing something totally normal. The Cure doesn't see anything out of the ordinary because he's doing exactly the same thing himself. He's got 2 Reapers. He's being a little bit more defensive.
Cure, he needs to react as quickly as possible when the Reapers show up. He has to pull away. The Hellions does help though. Oh, now he knows.
And now you're kind of trying to scratch your head a little bit as Cure. How aggressive are you being with these Reapers? That's a very fast 3rd Reaper to be having right now. Still doesn't feel like he's in super insane amount of danger or anything. Does put the SCV down to make sure he can repair, but now a 4th one comes out as well.
He was in. Hellion goes down.
That Hellion bumps it over to make sure it can't attack or run away. So we'll kill that off. Gets a Reaper as well. And we'll start the chase.
Very good control right now by ByuN. Deciding not to push up that ramp. He is going to instead snipe the SCV. Command center about 80% done here. More Reapers being rallied across the map. And ByuN, he is going for a low ground expansion of his
you can see a late reaction out of Cure. This is ideal for ByuN.
Much damage done as possible in the short term. Still producing Reapers, and this command center, if he can get a cancel on it, that would be absolutely huge here for ByuN. Cure's going to try and stop that. And even just little move outlets like that, even if he doesn't go in for the fight.
Again, this Cyclone is so late. The add-on swap is so late. He had to cancel Marauder. Does he cancel? He does! Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's a cancel on that CC. Job well done from ByuN. He's going to be feeling very nice. That is an insane amount of Reapers. And honestly, if those Hellions were at the ramp, there could have been a crazy line shot on them. And he's even going for some SCVs on the gases as well. ByuN has no fear. Coming into this main base, he's just going to YOLO on top of the Hellions as well, trying to just end this game with these Reapers, it looks like. Obviously won't be able to get insane game-ending damage with that, but 5 SCVs and a very YOLO move. Sees the CC being made up top as well, knowing it's not going to be a counter all-in or anything like that from Cure, so get some information with that. It was a little bit aggressive, I would say, from ByuN to go that heavy, but I mean, I guess he gets something from it. He gets the scouting, like I mentioned. I'm not sure if losing all of those Reapers is the
as they're pointing out, Cloak Banshees are on the way, and currently there's no anti-air, but there's a Cyclone on the way. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. ByuN is ahead, but there are opportunities here for Cure.
On the board here by ByuN, that is absolutely plenty, and as you said, being able to get the full confirmation of exactly what Cure is doing, he should be better prepared for the Cloak Banshee play than he otherwise would be, but I don't think that he saw Cloak actually getting research, so will he bank scans? Will he go for an engineering break and get turrets? We're going to have to wait and see. This could very well just be a Raven opening the same way that it was in the previous game. He doesn't know it's Banshees yet, but there is a Viking and a Cyclone in production right now here for ByuN. as the first Banshee comes in.
Curious a little bit too soon. Yeah, Curious too soon.
Yeah, so it looks like Kier's going to kind of
can't get
show
away.
his hand a little bit, and yeah, that's a dead Banshee. Cyclone gets the lock on, will be able to kill that
10
off.
seconds too soon.
This is a disaster start for Cure. The second Banshee, even a third one in production as well, will have the cloak, so perhaps ByuN maybe won't expect the cloak coming in. Might be skipping a scan or something like that to go for some extra mules, so might maybe catch him off guard in that regard. But yeah, it's looking really difficult for Cure. He's down 10 SCVs at this point.
So Hyperflight Rotor is also getting researched right now by Cure, so he's going double upgrades on the Banshees, just really leaning heavily into the Banshees.
Interesting.
Cloak and speed.
So going to both upgrades is indicative of mech. Curie does play mech from time to time.
Just an armada of Reapers posturing in front of the natural expansion. Still 6 of them here for ByuN. More Reapers than Cure has Marines right now. That's
wild.
At 6.5 minutes, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah, ByuN is sitting very pretty.
Ooh, being cheeky. Wait, he wants to bait. He wants to bait him in. Can he bait him?
Let's Marine, come on.
You know very
you
nice.
You know you want to.
Jesus Christ, that Cyclone just got yeeted out of existence. That was pretty crazy.
I love that little trap set by Cure.
Nice bait there by Cure.
That was very cool.
Third TC's on the way.
I mean, Cyclone getting killed off. That's nice. So Cure trying to find any little advantage that he can. That's not going to win in the game, though, so he's going to have to find plenty more where that came from. It looks like he's going to be banking up some more of those Banshees as the Reapers do find their way back.
But the Cyclone goes down.
Again, we'll be able to kill off the Cyclone, kills off the Hellion, and the Reaper. Everything left here getting killed off. The Marines will be able to shoo these Reapers away for now, and that's going to now bring those Banshees across for just a moment until they stop.
So what's scary is that ByuN, he didn't get further in. He saw the third CC, but he didn't get eyes in the main base, so he doesn't see the mech is on the way.
Yeah, it's going to be 3, so... Oh, double armory for Cure as well in the second factory. I think he's going mech behind this, so hopefully these Hyperflight Rotor Banshees are going to give him a little bit of time. ByuN, I don't think he actually...
Double armory and 3 factories. I think it might be mech.
Yes, he does.
That's crazy. Maybe.
He's kind of ready to deal with this, but he also kind of isn't because...
Not sure, though.
Yes, scans are available, but can you actually catch these things? One of them is going to go down to that stem. But the other 2 now going into the natural expansion, looking to get more damage done. ByuN, he is retreating in the middle of the map, coming all the way back home with everything, and I don't think we have any medevacs, by the way, for ByuN here on the front line. So these are some very damaged Marines.
12 SCV kills.
It might still be worth
He's
it
still
just
not
taking
done.
out these Banshees because already more than a dozen SCVs
No
have
scan.
fallen, and man, I was a doubter here, going for the higher
scan, no turrets.
Banshees after the first one
617.
died, but no, these are just getting so much value. And look at this, ByuN actually dropping a natural expansion of Cure at the
He
same
drops into
time.
tank fire.
Yeah, this is a nice play from ByuN to try and get some counter
Cure
damage.
has tanks in
Those
position.
Banshees were looking like they were about to win the game for Cure, or at least bring him back into a totally playable position. But this location now is going to get really difficult to dislodge, perhaps. And it looks like he will actually just leave that. Doesn't want to overstay his welcome, ByuN, but he does get a nice counter damage done of a couple more SCVs, but I mean, that is just a ridiculous amount of damage from Cure. I really was not expecting those Banshees to get that much damage done. The over stim as well on those Marines made it really difficult to continue to chase them, and now you can even see when he's moving across the map.
Yeah, and Cure's in this. And Cure was so greedy as well. Remember, Cure went for a faster third TC. He went into faster double upgrades as well.
Time for Cure, and he's actually even
It's paying off
enough himself to move across the map.
Who catches who?
Yeah, that's a pretty formidable army right here by Cure. He's able to siege up in front of the third base. It'll be hard for ByuN to dislodge him from that position yet again.
And once again, the best defense is a good offense. Cure, back at home, he'd have a really hard time defending, but he's trying to force ByuN back. Trying to force him to stay at home.
In just a moment, is this Banshee just continuing to
It's risky. Like, this is a very bare bones army out of Cure.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stalemate outside of the position.
He's slowly pushing
outside
forward.
of the natural with this position, so it looks like ByuN wants to try and counteract this by moving some of these units over to the left.
Oh,
Look at the
stim!
medevacs.
Tanks are
tries
late.
to jump on the tanks while they're
Tanks are late to
unseated, but there's
siege.
still plenty here from Cure, but now the backstab comes in from ByuN over
Oh
on
my
the left
God.
side. Cure not accounting for that means he's going to start to lose a lot of those tanks, but the Hellbats try to get some extra damage in as the
heavy loss
medevacs
over Cure.
also getting
Heavy
targeted by
loss.
one of those Vikings. So an even trade overall, but I think ByuN still comes out ahead in that regard because he's had this third base going. He's going to have more reinforcements coming out quicker with all those barracks, and so he's going to be able to send himself right across the map again if he wants to try and halt the progression of this meching Terran.
Yeah, that was not an even trade. Very quickly. That was not an even trade. Cure's army is a mech army. It was so much more expensive. He lost, what, 4 to 5 tanks. He lost so many tanks in that push. That was a heavy loss, and ByuN takes the lead.
And a pivotal part of the map As Kira now fishing for some more SCV kills. ByuN has been macroing back up. He has lost, I want to say, like 24, 25 SCVs in total, but he still has a pretty healthy worker lead. Excuse me, I don't know why I can't say worker. A Wookiee lead. A Wookiee lead over Cure.
Yeah, he's definitely feeling pretty good in the economy regards. He's also got those 2 medevacs sent across the map. They're going to be trying to find some sort of damage wherever they can. Luckily for Cure, he has a barracks sitting here for vision, so that's very nice, but doesn't give him too much of a heads up since those medevacs can just boost on into the main base, and they will get on top of some of the production and perhaps some of the SCVs and supply depots, but tanks here will be able to deny them for now, and the Vikings also going to make it a little bit awkward, but shouldn't find too much
heavy supply
damage.
block.
Will supply block Cure for a little bit, but it's also going to distract him as it looks like ByuN just sent the rest right across the middle of the map, just YOLOing on through. There's a couple tanks in this third base. It's going to make it a little difficult as the SCV pull also blocks some of those Marines,
economy.
but they're honestly just shredding everything as these 2 tanks, once there's nothing left, will get targeted as well.
Wow, I mean, the Marine spread right there by ByuN, mitigating the splash damage coming in from those siege tanks and pouncing on the opportunity. He's able to take down the entire base worth of workers, 23 in total falling, plus those siege tanks. And he's coming back for more. Cure right now all the way set back to 40 SCVs. And ByuN is still trying to get some more damage done. You can really see the income difference being highlighted right now by Mapu. I mean, it is just massively in ByuN's favor, with a 4th base coming too.
Yeah, he's feeling excellent right now. He's just parade pushing across the map at this point. Everything just getting sent across. 73 SCVs and going strong is ByuN. Just trying to batter down Cure as much as possible. Massive
the fresh
amount of
mules
getting thrown down as the Marine tries to get dropped on top to get the tank splash to kill all the fresh mules. That would have been awesome if that actually worked out. If there was just one more tank there, that would have actually killed every single one. But unfortunately, not going to happen. I love ByuN still trying to bring out these little cheeky plays in these in this series.
Yeah, you gotta be cheeky. You gotta be crafty if you want to take down a meching Terran here with just pure bio. Because in a head-on engagement, if the meching Terran is ready for you, you're gonna have a pretty hard time breaking through. But ByuN has done a very good job of just creating opportunities for himself, especially in this moment of the game where Cure just simply cannot afford to get a ring of turrets to try and push away all these medevac drops.
Yeah, Hellions trying to find their way over to the other side to kill some more SCVs, but there's no blue flame, so it's not like they're going to rack up kills super crazy either, as it looks like there's still SCVs dying on both sides. The Hellions not actually quite dealt with. There's no reinforcements responding just yet, so ByuN actually losing quite a few SCVs to the Hellions. Will eventually clear those out, but since he's got such a crazy worker lead in the first place, it's not really going to matter that much. He's still at 63 to 40.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's really nice economic damage here by Cure, but he needs so much more to recover in this game. He's just far too far behind. Again, I was just really impressed by Cure's comeback this game. He had a crazy comeback, killing 20 SCVs with those Banshees, but again, he was kind of like a paper tiger. We were pointing it out at the time, where like he was trying his best to kind of be as aggressive as possible to keep ByuN back, but he could never take a head-on fight, and we saw that he was just caught on siege, and he lost everything in the center. Never since then, he's been struggling to try to recover. Here we have more Hellion run-bys. Technically, there is a slim chance that maybe Cure can recover, but when you're this far behind, it's so difficult to pull off at this level of play.
Transforming right next to each other. Looks so ridiculous. Like 6 workers is actually still pretty decent for that little
Yeah, it's
run
good.
That was, what,
I mean,
2
2
Hellions? Yeah, that's crazy.
Almost got a siege tank too. But I know what I was going to say is that ByuN, I feel like even if he, at this point, he's doubling the army supply of Cure. I feel like if he comes in from multiple angles, he might just be able to break through a siege line like this one. It would be costly, but you're at double the supply, right?
I mean, the army is like, it's like 100% tanks. It's 10 tanks, and then you have the Vikings, I guess, but like that's not going to do anything against Marines once they're actually stimming in. So if you can just get a decent position with plenty of different flanks and a really nice concave, that you're definitely going to be able to break this to ByuN. He's doubling the supply. He's 200 to 112. Look at that. He's going to drop everything into the natural on top of these tanks, just going for it. Looks like there's actually not too much with that drop, as the rest of them are going into the main base, but this will still pull Cure out of position, even if it doesn't kill him. Everything needs to respond to this, so there might be more coming from ByuN where this attack doesn't really find the mark.
Yeah, but I feel like ByuN isn't able to really capitalize too much on this opening. Yes, he did kill 17 SCVs, but right now, workers are not really the bottleneck here for Cure. It's mineral patches, because the main base is nearly mined out. The natural expansion is getting there as well. The third base, which is the only fresh base here for Cure, very soon will be mined out, probably after these mules start getting to work on the smaller mineral patches. So I think for ByuN, even though you do have this big army supply lead, and maybe in theory you could push through and break Cure, you just want to contain him on these 3 bases, because with the minerals he's got, Cure can maybe max once, and you would kind of limp into getting maxed. It would take a very long time right now, sitting at 114 supply.
Kind of. Like, again, obviously the goal for ByuN, one of the goals is to contain, to make sure there's no 4th base, but it's perfectly fine for ByuN to trade the way that he has been, right? To do both, right? You can do both. But getting all his dust, where you contain your opponent and you trade as well, going in, killing SCVs, killing a couple of tanks here and there. It's one of those situations where ByuN can afford to trade and Cure cannot. So even if it's a bad fight, it's still worth it for ByuN. Even if it's an inefficient fight, maybe that's a better way of putting it.
Pretty massive, though, so doesn't want to be too gun-ho with this, as he loses a medevac to the Vikings over on the right side. This is getting a little bit more and more difficult for ByuN to find some opportunities, and he realizes this, going for some starports himself back at home, trying to at least leverage this economic position that he's got to perhaps get a faster late-game air switch.
Yeah, you know as ByuN that being maxed out like this and deciding not to take a trade that will be unfavorable for you, the way that you leverage your advantage is that you just build up your production capabilities. So we have 4 more command centers getting thrown down right now. That will allow ByuN later to just kind of throw away some SCVs
catch
to
some
free up more army
Vikings,
supply, because you can replace them
production.
with mules. And just finding
for the mineral line
angles
once
like
again.
this one coming in with a drop. Again, Cure, he is struggling to get to max supply on the few mineral patches that he has left. So taking down depots, taking down SCVs. I mean, this might be enough damage in and of itself that Cure can no longer max on just these 3 bases. He might need to take a 4th base to reach max supply, because there's just too many minerals to spend on getting to 200. Even building the supply depots to get up to 200, it's very expensive here for Cure. And so ByuN, even though he hasn't been quite as cost efficient, actually he has been a little bit more cost efficient. That is crazy. That is not the way that I expected the unit's loss tab to go. You just try to leverage your economic superiority by doing exactly what he's doing. He's adding in starports, he's adding in command centers. I mean, this is how you build just a huge economic engine, so that even if Cure does win the next fight resoundingly, ByuN should be able to remax and have a big enough bank that he can just push on through.
Yeah, ByuN is not putting all of the eggs in one basket. He's just making sure that he's got everything set up so that way, no matter what happens in this game, he has a way that he can respond. And sure, everything looks great for him right now. He's killing off SCV after SCV. He's keeping Cure sitting on 3 bases this whole time. But like you're saying, if the meching Terran player can just get one army once that is somewhat threatening, there's a chance that they can just kind of bulldoze it across the map. And so you need to make sure that you set yourself up with the production, with the economy, to actually make sure you can remax and envelop the army once or twice, perhaps, because the army, when it's got 19 tanks. Like, this army is like 80% tanks. It's insane. ByuN actually does want to just pull the trigger right now. A bit of an awkward position, because this little pillar in the middle is really bottlenecking everything. The tanks cannot get on top of Cure's tanks whatsoever. So that was a bit of a strange engagement from ByuN, and honestly kind of just feeds Cure some of his army.
No,
I think he was
ByuN, he called like 4 tanks or 5 tanks on the left side. Again, Cure, he was out of position, he was late to siege. That was a better trade for ByuN. Now there's an opening into the natural specifically. Like, I believe the natural base is exposed for Cure, but ByuN rotates.
Can afford it. He is going to stem forward, but 4 or 5 tanks waiting around this ramp area.
No Vikings.
It's going to be hard to shove into that.
Yeah, one thing as well that is important, though, with that is that it does kill some of those units, so that way he can actually make something else. Because he did make all those starports earlier to try and get the air switch going, so he was maxed out. He needed to suicide something to allow him to actually do that. So I think that's still a totally fine play by him, of course, because he's still so far ahead. And he does need to eventually get this air superiority, so that way he can slowly push this meching Terran back. And he does have the air superiority at this point, because Cure has been focusing so hard on
as we mentioned, because that fight earlier, like, there is a cleaner road into the natural.
And now
ByuN's moving in,
walking over him with his much larger Viking count,
catching out 2 Vikings,
to land the Vikings,
3 Vikings,
and now ByuN is going to find himself in a much better position.
Shoving
These
tanks.
medevacs can actually do their work, landing like this. The siege
one.
tanks overkilling, just one-shotting
That's
their
so
comrades. As the Vikings were able to stop this very curiously, a little bit of a grimace right there by him. As I think he knows
Vikings,
that finally
they land.
losing air
GG gets
superiority is
called.
the nail in the coffin. And I mean, Cure, talk about tenacity, just sticking with it, defending for as long as he did is very impressive. But ByuN, in the end, a very smart pivot there in terms of tech, just throwing away some supply that he didn't need to remax on the Vikings, as you said. And that is enough for him to finally crack open the shell.
I love that he was being so precise with the drop as well.
Yeah, GG, well played. Again, I was for the most part, I was most impressed in this game by Cure's comeback. Remember, Cure, he was at such a deficit. Cure against the against the 3x Reaper of ByuN at the beginning of the game. Cure, it took him too long to realize what was going on. He also did an SCV scout, so he was playing very, very blind, and he was forced to cancel his CC. That should have been game, by the way. That should have been game then and there. But Cure had a crazy comeback going into Cloak Banshee, going into Speed Banshee, and killing 20 SCVs. Cure did recover almost. As a reminder, like, he had a very small army, and we were discussing the fact that Cure, he did need to somehow fend ByuN off. He chose to be active with his army. He chose to be active with his tanks. He had very little support for his army, and he got surrounded. Lost everything. GG, well played. Of course, the game did continue on further from there, but ByuN, he was able to keep trading, keep dropping as well to be able to break the defensive line of Cure. GG, well played, and we're going all the way to the ace match, going to game 5. This can go either way. What I will say is that, as a reminder, this is a double elimination bracket, so the loser of this series will still be in the tournament in that lower bracket.
Right is the red Terran, Cure in the top left is the blue Terran. I wonder what we're going to get. Will we have another proxy game as we did?
We're on 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet, one of the smaller maps in the map pool. Aggression is favored here, and we'll see how aggressive we plan on being.
It looks like they're going to be playing it pretty passively. No SCVs getting thrown across the map right away, so no player wants to just kind of throw everything in at the last second to make a big gamble or anything like that. So will just be some more standard stuff coming out of them, most likely. Going to be the gas first coming out of ByuN, whereas Cure is going to be waiting to go for his gas after the barracks, so slight deviations in that regard, but overall it's not going to make a massive difference. We'll see if... I mean, ByuN did last game as well go for the 3 racks in his own main base, so it's not like he was proxying the aggression that time either. So there's still the chance that either of these players wants to do something pretty heavily early game centered, even though they're not actually proxying anything. So yeah, we'll see what they want to go for in the next few minutes here.
Fast 2 gas coming in here for Cure. ByuN seems to favor the gas first opening and then just sticking on the 1 gas geyser for a very long time and getting a faster command center, as opposed to the 2 gas play, which techs a little bit faster, but I suppose in theory is a little bit less economically efficient as ByuN's approach. But at that point, you're basically splitting hairs right now as the builds are nearly mirrored coming in. ByuN just a touch slower with the Orbital and the Reaper.
He's going to lose now. That's it.
Hey, I think he lost the last game. That they
Coming into this, we do have varying builds here. We do have ByuN going for an economic start. Meanwhile, Cure is going double gas once again.
We'll just get that information and run, as the CC will get placed on the high ground, so waiting for that SCV to dip before he actually does put that down to keep any information out of Cure's grasp, I guess, whatever. Gonna get the factory coming out.
So the openers were different. I think they were alluding to it being the same for some reason, but
how different. Opener here. So we'll be getting the slightly faster tech. We'll see how many Reapers he wants to make. It's usually, I think, 2, and then you go into like the Hellions and whatnot. So we'll see how aggressive he wants to be with them. As ByuN, of course, will have to kind of sit back since he went for just the single Reaper and the Marine coming out. Can't be too aggressive with this.
Yeah, it's a very macro-focused play coming in here by ByuN. As Cure is going to pop up to the main base, confirm the command center. Oh man, look at that body block coming in by ByuN. Grenade also gets dodged, and he's going to snipe Cure's Reaper. That was some fancy micro by ByuN. My goodness.
Oh man, we don't call him Michael Jackson for nothing, man. That was some smooth moves coming out with those Reapers.
He broke his ankles. That was sick.
I love that they switched positions there too at the very first moment. That was crazy. I mean, ByuN coming out on top with just the single Reaper and the Marine. And now that gives him the opportunity to kind of walk across. He gets the information, obviously.
Yeah, that's a really brutal stuff for Cure. Bearing in mind that Cure with the double gas opener, he was supposed to have the higher Reaper count, and now he's down a Reaper.
Okay, so he doesn't actually see exactly what's happening. Does know that the Hellion is out, so he will be able to deduce what exactly Cure went for with that based on the timings. And
oh my god,
he gets right up onto the ledge on time. Just incredible from ByuN.
1 HP. I think if it didn't hit the grenade on the Hellion, that is a dead Reaper, but instead it will survive. Man, this Reaper's gotten so much value for ByuN already. As you said, unfortunately, did not get the confirmation on the scout at the low ground at the CC there for Cure, but I think he should still know based on the unit set that he has seen that this is going to be a fast expand build from our blue Terran player. As now Cure going into the faster 3rd gas here at the natural expansion. ByuN just a touch behind him in that regard as first Raven is coming out here for ByuN, and Cure once more going into the Banshee.
Yeah, we'll see if he goes for Cloak with it as well. Of course, those went massive for him in the last game. I don't think he'll be going for the hyperflight once more. That was a bit of a unique game, that last one. So, caster moment.
Well done, Jonah. Tell me more about why he's not going to go into hyperflight.
So, guys, this is why I'm a Protoss player. Okay, so you know what? Whatever. Goes for the hyperflight before cloak this time as well. So.
It's been more common as of late.
I am all for it. Let's see what this is. I love it when these Terran players go for this hyperflight. I hate playing against it, but I love watching it. It's very fun to see it happen to other people, not myself. So I'm very curious to see how much more damage he can get with this.
Very quickly here, the reason why we've been seeing this more popular as of late is because it's very common to have detection. As you can see, there's a Raven, right? ByuN has a Raven, so going to Cloak has less value here for Cure. Speed gives him more micro potential. The other thing, typically when you go into a big commitment into Banshees like this, it leads into mech. So mech is, there it is. Yeah, and there's a very high chance of mech. Battery gets thrown down because of the initial Banshee.
This map specifically, because this map I feel is so good defensively for mech and just Terran in general. You have so many little choke points. You have some different ramps coming up to the different bases. So I feel like it's a good map to just kind of sit back defensively on. And so I think I do like that coming out from Cure. Scan from ByuN will see that there is something researching on that starport, and does get the confirmation of the extra factory as well. So now ByuN will know that Cure is going for mech once again, and will need to tailor his response accordingly.
Yeah, and ByuN also does have the Raven out, but these are not Cloak Banshees. These are Speed Banshees coming in. Only 2 Marines, so auto turrets are going to have to be used to deflect these Banshees away, but they are just so microable with this speed. I mean, faster than Littlest, right?
Banshees are going to be careful.
Quick.
Yeah, it's very hard to chase these things down. You really can't, honestly, as the Terran. You just have to hope that you get the jump on them with Stim, and then can DPS them out before they can actually get away. So they are very tricky to chase. And wow, actually Cure going for the left-hand base. That's so interesting. Okay. It looks like ByuN's also doing the same thing. Wow, okay. Okay, interesting.
I'm a little more surprised that ByuN's doing it since he's the bio player, but for Cure, I think it actually makes a lot of sense because if you expand linearly towards the center of the map, you're just opening up so much surface area for dropships to come in and just cause.
So as State is alluding to, the reason why you want to take the triangular third is to protect your main base from drops.
Expansion here on 10,000 feet. It keeps the airspaces a little bit more tight. You only have 2 real locations to worry about. It's the natural expansion by the Vespene geysers and the third base all the way there on the left side. And so for Cure, it's a much easier position to just kind of button up the defense on, but I'm not sure we're going to get to that stage with the medevac drops coming in, because it seems like ByuN is maybe a little bit going to be eyeing some kind of timing push with all of the Ravens that he's got already. I mean, you can be going mech if you want. This is still going to be a lot of disables that might give ByuN the opportunity he needs to push into one of these expansions.
He's going for the auto turret harass instead. Vikings are out of position. SCVs are going to go down.
Auto turrets as well to kill off some SCVs. Yeah, he's really going in here. I mean, he's really putting himself vulnerable to the Vikings that may be trying to come out and defend against these, and here they do come.
Nice running with the auto turrets.
Also defend against the Vikings
that's
a little
also
bit.
A good point, actually. Yeah, that's true. 12 SCVs getting
killed
off by these
12
Ravens,
SCVs.
so actually that ends up being incredible for ByuN, using them not for the interference matrix on the tanks to try and go for a big bust, but just uses the auto turrets to butcher the economy of Cure.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision. I still feel like I would rather have 3 Ravens than 14 SCV kills in the idle time if I was ByuN. I mean, he did get a lot of economic value done with it, but as Cure exhibited in the previous game, he doesn't need a lot of economic muscle to be tough to topple. You know, he hung on with like half the economy of ByuN for the majority of that game. We'll see though. Maybe it's more of ByuN expecting to lose air superiority in the coming minutes because he's the bio
this is the correct line of thought to go through. State just got there. I was about to say that, like, keeping Ravens alive with your main army, the problem is that Cure has air control, so there's a very low chance that the Ravens actually get into disables off. So it's a rough decision to make, but to throw them all away, I feel like you're actually gaining value as opposed to losing your Ravens to these Vikings.
But he's going to be needing to move those tanks back
in a head-on fight
to the tank volley of Cure. Very, very even position by both these players, trying to just find any little edge in the positioning in the middle of the map right now.
Yeah, more siege tanks, more Vikings here for Cure, still just sitting on.
And again, Cure's move just now is the same move he went for a Mothership, where he's active with the army, not to push, not to be aggressive, but to actually keep ByuN busy in the center while he builds up his economy.
100 times out of 100. I mean, there are just so many siege tanks in this army, plus the Vikings to clear up the air support. And again, looking at the architecture of the map, the triangle expansion just makes so much sense. You can set up this siege tank line right here as Kira is doing, and then where do you go? Is
Kira versus siege?
An opening? I really don't see one.
Yeah, and he's just getting hit on the left-hand side as well when he tries to go there because Kira is just well-positioned with absolutely everything. The tank line is just massive, so you can't actually find a weakness right now as ByuN. And this is kind of like what I was saying earlier, where this map is just so good at just sitting back and just being defensive. It's going to require some other way to break this line, and ByuN is going into the mass starport transition again to try and find that answer. Perhaps it's going to be a massive swell of Vikings that can do it. Maybe he wants to go for a super fast tech into battle cruisers, as he might just want to try to skip the mid-game stage and go mega late. That's always something.
So touching on what Gemini is getting at here, mid to late game TvT is all about air toss. Sorry, air Terran. Air Terran. Sky Terran is what you need to get into. Mass Viking, Mass Liberator, Mass Raven, potentially even Mass BC. That's kind of what you're forced into. Typically, ByuN is adverse to getting into that style. ByuN, he's very fond of drop play, but I do think this is a really nice and really mature decision from ByuN to switch out of Bio and into Sky Toss, or sorry, Sky Terran instead.
Making it more and more difficult for ByuN to actually get something done with all these extra Vikings. And as you said, Fusion Core, it is being produced right now. I think economically, ByuN is still quite a distance away from being able to afford a lot of battle cruisers, but in the short term, I think these stores are going to be able to handle any pressure the Vikings will be sending their way.
Yeah, he could also be getting the
Advanced
Fusion Core
ballistics
for the Liberator upgrade as well, but he could be going for the Liberator range
that's a good point,
to deal
actually.
with it. So there's still a couple options he can go for with that, and of course it just sets him up for the late game BC switch as well, if that ends up coming into play. But for now, it looks like ByuN is going to continue to try and deny this forward location with his tank positionings, but the Liberators and Vikings will be able to dislodge that from Cure, so not going to be able to do anything with
And here you can see the importance of air control, right? Once you have enough Vikings, then you can get Liberators, and that will dominate the ground.
As much as possible, they want to get this.
That's why Sky Terran is kind of the natural kind of evolution of TvT.
Cure is totally fine to just sit here and just wait it out, just kind of get the mega mech army just to make it impossible to have ByuN attack, because ByuN is the one that needs to stop this and find a way to actually react to what Cure is doing.
Yeah, ByuN is going for a similar transition that he did in the previous game. 5 command centers being thrown down the moment that he hits max. So economically, he's going to be going for those supply-free mules to try and juice up the mineral income a little bit here, because you kind of have to leverage anything you can right now. And for ByuN, that's not having any pressure on his side.
Comes from behind, getting us up to the tanks.
Push into the 4th base right now by ByuN, just off screen, able to snipe at least one of those Thors, a couple of siege tanks, but cannot break through the planetary fortress. But this is a really nice catch for the Vikings. They might not have the same upgrades as Cure's Vikings, but at least able to pick off a ton of the air fleet there from Cure. And looking at the production tab, Gemini, I don't see any Vikings being remade by Cure. I think that he recognized, okay, you know what, this is too many starports for me to deal with. I'm just going to focus on the ground. I think it's a smart move.
Yeah, he's going to be relying on the Thors to defend against these Vikings. He's still got a few, so he will be getting a couple of those shots off. And honestly, I'm actually amazed that he got that much damage done, because all those Vikings are like one hit from death. So the fact that he was able to still trade that out pretty decently is great for Cure. We'll be able to keep this position, kills off some of those tanks as well, and we'll be finding himself finally kind of securing this forward location for now. ByuN maybe wanting to go back a little bit later, but there's the range upgrade for the Liberators coming in for ByuN as well. So he wants to find an extra way to deal with these entrenched positions.
It's going to be tough.
So what's important here is that, as they're kind of alluding to a little bit, ByuN has gained air control. He does have a heavy Viking lead, and now Liberator is going to be a big power spike for ByuN, as they're going to be on the way. Also, just abusing the center position, abusing the mineral line. So obviously, it's not bad.
The only thing that's a little bit lacking
Orders
compared to the previous game is
Gets
the
one.
upgrades here for Cure.
Tanks
Another
at least a
engagement
siege.
Coming in. Marauders stimming 4, going to try their best
3
to
tanks
trade
go down.
out, but you can see even on the retreat, any shot those siege tanks get in on the Marauders is doing huge splash damage. So Cure eventually will be able to secure a 5th base, and a Meching Terran on 5 bases who just keeps getting closer and closer to ByuN's side of the map. It's pretty scary here for ByuN. He hasn't had the cost-efficient trades that he had in the previous game. Economically, Cure's on a lot better footing than he was in the previous game. And already the last game, you could tell how hard it was for ByuN to finally close it out. And now Cure, just everything is going his way.
Yeah, I mean,
I would push back again. Like, this is not a clean game for Cure. Like, he's like, your Cure's playing perfect. Like, no, he just lost 12 SCVs. He just lost 3 tanks. ByuN is trading. What I will say though is that, of course, Cure, he's holding his own. Right, last game the game ended early. Even though the game lasted an extra like 5 to 8 minutes. Cure, he was stumbling his way into a longer game. Here, Cure is holding his own. But I will say that ByuN's doing a great job at denying mining and trading against those tanks. But oh, I say that, here comes a Hellion run by.
Flame Hellions himself across the map will now start to neuter ByuN's economy as well, so this is looking really good, getting 12 more SCVs of his own, 15 in fact, before those get killed off.
Very nice run by.
This is getting into this position though in the late game as well, where once we get to a certain CC count, the SCV count does not matter as much, because then you will just be throwing down all those mules like you were mentioning. So at some point, ByuN will want to lose some of these workers. I'm not quite sure if now is yet the time for that though.
I think it's going to be pretty soon. And looking at the mini-map, I'm counting 12 command centers that will be done eventually. I know that there's 3 in production right now. That's going to be a lot of energy for mules in just a moment here for ByuN. And I'm a little bit concerned about his position because he just has never been able to find any angle versus Cure. Cure has been so methodical and slow.
I would kind of like, I would adjust this line of like commentary and emphasize a little bit more the fact that Cure got his 5th base. Like, that's huge. Like, they touched on it a little bit, but Cure should not have been able to take his 5th. So for the 5th base to get up and running like this is a big spike for Cure. Now he has a very strong economy, and Cure, he's now maxed.
Once it is fully maxed up, once it has all the upgrades and all the static defense it needs to kind of make up for its lack of mobility, it is just a better army. And once ByuN actually does go for that transition, yes, he might have a little bit more of a bank to propel himself forward and really catapult himself in, but he's actually doubling down right now on the bio. He's adding in 4 more barracks. He's adding in a couple of factories here and there. But tech-wise, it is going to be a really difficult task for him to try and switch into mech at any point. And to try and close a game out like this one versus Cure on purely bio and doubling down on that with more barracks, it's pretty scary. Because even if you get some BCs out with these extra starports that are coming in, they're going to be battlecruisers with maybe +1 vehicle weapons at most against what is soon going to be 3-3 here for Cure.
As what they're kind of discussing here is the fact that ByuN, he has a massive Viking count. ByuN, he has what, 20 Vikings? Yeah, it's 20 Vikings and 12. But where's that switch into BC, right? Where's that switch into Raven? ByuN, he's still stuck on bio, which is kind of weird. He has this air control, but he's not really able to do much with it.
Widow mines forward underneath ByuN's Viking and air fleet and try to get a massive burst splash damage onto everything. And honestly, I am extremely excited for that moment, because that is possibly one of the most interesting things you could see in these late game engagements, combined with the Thors as well. I mean, there's some potential for some just massive bursts of damage coming out from Cure on this just ridiculously unstoppable army.
Yeah, the one good angle that ByuN's had this entire time has been able to minimize the mining of the minerals, at least, from this forward position by Cure. Again, just highlighting the reason behind him going for the...
So right now, it looks like ByuN is trying to switch into a heavier Liberator count. He does take over the center base. Nice kiting. Again, kiting out of range of most of the Thors.
Get the big damage done. So ByuN, I think, getting the slightly better trade in this case. And still is continuing to be a thorn in the side of Cure here in the center. But Cure, he is expanding to the top right. He's establishing another command center there. He is adding command centers all across the map.
Yeah, 6th base on the way, uncontested.
In his own right. With the mules, with the energy coming in just a moment. And
ByuN unable to stop it.
He might not be as overwhelmingly economic efficient as you might expect a meching Terran to be, about +2,000 resources in his favor, but the fact that his economy has been hardly slowed down at all this game is very concerning here for ByuN.
Yeah, both players still just trying to take as much position as possible. You can see that.
Yeah, they're alluding to it. I do think it's better if they spoke about it a little bit more directly. The fact that ByuN failed to deny the 5th, and ByuN right now is failing to deny the 6th base. He totally could peel off some units towards top right and deny that expansion, but ByuN doesn't see it, he doesn't scout it, and he's not in position.
Trying to move over here and
Cure's just really expanding.
Get any sort of advantage positionally, because this game at this point is like, I feel like it's more so a game of positioning.
And Cure is the first player to switch into Ravens. Like, we've been waiting for this moment for ByuN. That Raven switch. Cure's getting there.
These armies, you will just find yourself in a...
He's on the way.
You just can't take the fight, and you just are forced into a really bad location. And so both these players are putting such emphasis on just getting every little bit of position. A Liberator here, a Liberator there, forcing this spot away over here, a slight reposition there. So it's very difficult for both these players to actually force an engagement.
There's an interesting transition that Kira is going for right
Okay,
now as
ByuN.
well. Adding
He's
in
going for it.
Ravens. With the upgrade, I think he might be anticipating perhaps a battlecruiser switch coming in from ByuN, but as Mapu pointed out earlier, the add-ons here for ByuN, a lot of them are just still reactors. He is really focusing instead on Liberators and on Vikings to try and control this game, as Liberators can get one SCV and then quickly get bursted out of existence by that one missile turret. And I'm just wondering where this one is going to go here for ByuN. He is adding in 3 more starports. I feel like you need to make a transition into battlecruisers with the bank that he's got. They're very mineral heavy. Eventually, that has to be the plan,
It's
right?
too
But we
late.
don't have the tech labs,
It feels very,
and
very
now
late.
The Ravens adding
for
in.
ByuN.
I mean, Kira is just like assembling all of the gemstones or whatever in the Infinity Gauntlet. I didn't watch the Marvel movies. I don't know what the exact term is. But I know there's a lot of rocks that you put into a gauntlet and then you get superpowers. That is what Kira is doing. I feel like the Ravens are the last gemstone.
Kira's gonna try to just do one mega snap and just evaporate ByuN from this game, dude, with this mech army. Like, he's trying to get those Widow Mines underneath the Vikings, just boom, and just absolutely everything evaporates. A big attack
gets a
over on the
planetary.
right side will be able to kill off
Nice
the
repositioning here.
CC as well. So a bit of a misjudgment on the movement from Kira, so we'll lose a position because of that. So finally, ByuN finding some leeway, more than just like a few SCVs
big moment for
and a little
ByuN.
missed position.
He
actually gets a
rotates,
pretty
pivots,
decent
kills his
amount
space.
of damage with that, and will be able to get away scotch-free. Just doesn't really get anything back to his side. It looks like Kira's going to try to move across the map now because of course he doesn't want to just let that go for free. So he's going to find some position in the front. He's just kind of walking into these tanks though.
Wow.
The Thors are just kind of eating everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is the best play for Kira.
I mean, only 1 or 2 Thors went down and it completely cleared his
Yeah.
position. I love that
Fair.
move there for Kira. The damage is so evenly spread across those Thors. It's only +1 vehicle weapons here for ByuN. As we were saying, if you try to play the late game here, it's tough to really make mech work here for ByuN. Even the small accompaniment of siege tanks that he has aren't doing that much damage into Kira's army. And I'm looking at the banks now. Both players are maxed, and Kira's been cost efficient enough that even losing the top right base, he now has the better bank than ByuN. And notably, ByuN only has 1,000 gas. And that
here
is
come
the
the
real
Raven switch.
limiting factor here, because one unit that is not good versus the army Kira's got is Marines.
Yeah, the last thing you want to be doing as ByuN is to just be throwing all your minerals into a mass marine switch at the late game. So yeah, that is going to be a big issue if he cannot get some more gas coming on in here. Of course, the gas income for Kira is going to be pretty low, considering he hasn't had this base going for a little bit, but he was able to bank up so
Kira's been
much.
defending for the majority of this game. Finally, he can start to be active. He took a better fight earlier, and now he's pushing in. He's pushing center right. Are we base trading?
Well, but that just means ByuN will then take his army, go to the left, and try to outposition Kira on
the mine
this
shots.
side.
Oh my
Will just
God.
need a couple of tank shots and Widow Mine shots, but he still will have plenty of Marauders to just continue going into the natural, as both players are kind of taking some big hits both on both sides of the
Tanks
map.
are exposed.
I'm
Land
not
the
sure who's gonna come out
Vikings.
on head on this particular engagement.
He gets a couple of
Very
Ravens.
good for ByuN when you catch the Marauders. going
1,
into that
2,
expansion
3
and
Ravens. They're
taking
being
down,
thrown away.
What, a couple of siege tanks, a ton of SCVs, but losing
So
all
many
the
Vikings.
Vikings is so painful there for him. And again, we're nearing the stage. I mean, just look at the minimap. Look at all those giant blue boxes.
Wow.
Those are mules
ByuN just
loading
lost
to
every
average.
single
SCVs
Viking.
don't matter as much right now for Kira. He still
0
has a bank
Vikings.
as well. And so yeah, now at the end of this, we kill 15 SCVs. We take out a couple of command centers with this Marauder hit squad, but we lost a ton of Vikings in the center of the map. All these Marauders are going to get cleaned up, and we're down to 600 gas here as ByuN. It's starting to look a little bit more Kira favored, honestly.
We're getting messy.
Yeah, I'm starting to like this more and more for Kira as you're saying this. I mean, the fact that, again, those Vikings dying in the middle randomly was so massive for him, because he was putting so much into the I'm going to just make more Vikings basket. Like, he was just like, I'm going to have such better air superiority as much as I can, but then he just loses all of them, and he's now being dwarfed by the amount of Vikings and Ravens that Kira has switched on into, trying to go into a single battle cruiser as ByuN, and he's got
doesn't have the
zero
gas.
gas
He's
in
gotta
the
make
bank.
He's got to make Marines.
He's doing the thing that literally cannot win. Like, you cannot fight this mech army remaxing on Marines.
I cannot believe he hasn't taken the gases at the center expansion yet. I mean, the gas income is still very good here for ByuN. He has a ton of expansions, but you need every drop of Vespian you could possibly get here as ByuN, and right now he isn't getting it. And
He's
I know
broke.
that we're only trickling out a small handful of Marines, enough to reach a max supply, but it is not the supply that you need against the army that Kira's got right now. And oh man, even these gases in the bottom left, I think they're only saturated with 2 SCVs earlier. He's only just now fully saturating them.
Man, That is just brutal for ByuN. He could have had so much more gas this entire time if he was just mining off of those 2 bases.
Oh, nice
Looks like
catch.
he will find
Very
a
nice.
position and even teleports the 1BC. Cavalry has arrived to reinforce these Marauders. They will get a decent position and kill off some of these tanks. But I mean, there's just so little else.
These are efficient trades
like,
for ByuN.
what are you going to do with this position?
Yeah, but at the
Tanks
same
being thrown
time,
away.
ByuN does have a very nice siege tank line here in the center of the map, and he has enough scans available that Kier
gets
can't
3 more
really do
tanks.
anything to him. And so even though we're kind of harping on
We're getting
ByuN not
messy.
really
Kier's just throwing
having
away supply.
all the gas to build the army that he wants to, he has sown so much chaos with these moves now into the 3rd base, into the top right, moving through the center that I feel like Kier is kind of starting to run out of steam.
He gets like
Even
7
a small hit
tanks.
squad of Marauders and siege tanks.
Kier's falling apart.
I feel like a moment ago, the cost efficiency was massively in Kier's favor, but over the past minute or 2, ByuN with just a couple more moves has finally gotten things going on his side of the map. I mean, look at the supplies now. It is Kier who is lacking minerals and gas. ByuN has been able to resaturate the base in the bottom left on gas and finally take the Vespene gases in the center base as well. So his gas income is nearly triple, sometimes even more than triple what Kier's got coming in.
Yeah, the chaos that ByuN has suddenly started to throw into this game is now finally finding dividends. He's getting into this top side base as well. I mean, he's denied SCV mining on multiple of the exterior bases. He's just lurking around with this Bioforce as much as possible, being as active as he can.
He's a genius. I mean, I would say that Kier was outplaying ByuN for the majority of this game. Finally, the big moment was when ByuN killed the 4th. Remember, when ByuN was able to break the 4th base top right, ByuN was able to finally get some momentum going, and then he rotated towards the center of the map as well. So that was the pivotal moment of this game, was ByuN sniping that 4th. Sorry, sniping the 6th base, I meant to say. And now ByuN takes center left, takes more bases, remaxes.
The majority of Kier's army is still his army. He's only got 25 workers.
Once again, does get some tanks on siege.
A massive move here now.
4 more tanks, 5 more tanks.
Yeah, ByuN
6, every tanker's down.
Everything right now, and the Vikings do not want to land and fight all
He's
these
doing
Marauders.
it.
So ByuN able to clean up a lot of the forces here on the ground. There were only a couple of siege tanks defending this planetary fortress as ByuN is inching closer and closer to this expansion. And
showed 1 BC for the Vikings. The high Viking count was already there. Like the higher Viking count.
Still in this game, because if Kier was able to mine from this expansion for the majority of the time,
Sure.
I really feel like he would have had enough economy to just survive the chaos that ByuN was throwing his way, but because the center base has basically been deactivated for so long, every time that ByuN interrupts the expansion in the
Another
top
base
right
goes
for
down.
mining, Kier's economy just flatlines. There is no more income coming in. Look at that, 400 minerals a minute, 400 gas a minute.
Now it's Kier's turn to be broke. He has no bank, he has no mining, he has no economy, he loses top right once again.
Every time that top right base gets lifted up, I mean, honestly, for ByuN, at this stage, that is a win condition. If you can stop that top right base from mining this game, there is
Finally,
no
some
way
better
for Kier to
pickups
get
here by
back into
Kier.
it, even though he has a larger army supply.
Yeah, but the problem as well is that the majority of that army supply is Vikings, which have been really useless against this massive Marauder switch coming out from ByuN, just continuing to pound out so much bio. He's just relentless with this aggression, just coming in. We'll be able to focus this
Gets the
planetary as well.
planetary.
You can see the Vikings, sure, they kill off the Vikings in the air of ByuN, but that's not what's actually dealing the damage. We're kiting Hellbats at 27 minutes in the game. Kier cannot find an engagement against what ByuN's bringing, and ByuN is bringing this game back after what looked like an impossible situation going against an impenetrable mech army. He's just outpositioned Kier this entire time and has completely crippled him.
Yeah, Kier's shaking his head a little bit as he scans and sees all of the
Like
mining.
again, it was Kier's game. It was Kier's game. But ByuN, he tore him apart, pulled apart the attention specifically. Attention was torn apart. Kier, he was just throwing away 3, 4, 5 tanks. He was caught with his pants down. The pants were down, Bappy, too many times.
Locations with like no medevac support. The Vikings had nothing to shoot.
That's the crazy thing too. These aren't healed Marauders.
Yeah,
he's just stimming them and they're all at orange health the whole time.
the most medevacs I've seen accompanying these Marauders is 2.
Yeah.
And ByuN did get the medevac energy upgrade earlier in the game, so they are. I can't remember what it's called. It's like whatever it is, medevac energy upgrade.
It's like Caduceus Reactor or something. Caduceus Reactor.
Yeah, they've been working overtime, but now there is just way too much here for ByuN. He could just grab these ragtag groups of units because Kier's army only works if it is all together, if it is synergized together. Whenever it gets split up like this, you see he has to pull back so much to clean up this group of Marauders. and that's going to give ByuN an opportunity to further his mining in the top right, further apply pressure to the center base. You look at the minimap, there was almost no mining here for Cure. And yes, he has had basically the same army supply as ByuN for like the last 5 minutes, but look at the banks.
Dude, he can't make anything right now, and these Vikings and Ravens just feel so useless. They're trying to kill a couple of tanks. They're trying to maybe find a position where they can do that, but they just can't because the rest of the bio then just comes on in. Thor's now even getting added to the mix by ByuN as well, so he will actually have something.
But at this point, ByuN can just rally across the map. Again, just denying mining in the center. That is all that matters. Cure cannot afford to max, or cannot afford to build anything.
And a massive shot from the Thor, trying to kill
the
off
Thor
these
shots.
Vikings. A couple of interference matrix forced to get thrown down, and Cure at this point, you can see he's just feeling it, man. He just cannot deal with this position from ByuN. The income is just abysmal for him. His army composition has flattened, and I mean, ByuN, look at him. He's just throwing scans around. He's trying to find the weaknesses, and he's going to push it really hard, really soon.
Marauders stemming forward here as the Hellbats are going to try and drop right now on top of them. Kira making one last stand, trying to push into the top right. If he can secure a foothold at the expansion, drop some mules, he might have enough energy to maintain this game, but ByuN is just applying so much pressure. The freshest base that Cure has is the 4th expansion that he took minutes.
True, he has mules back. True.
Like 15 minutes ago.
Gonna bring it back.
It's because it's never been mining. I mean, look at the 5th over there at 12 o'clock. It's basically mined out.
Yeah, man, this is just getting so difficult.
This might be a short stream, but the series is long, which is good. This game is long. The other games were all just all-ins.
Massive army, still 88 army supply, but
like 1, 2, 3, 4 were all just all-ins, hyper-aggression. This is just the way to end the series. One long game, one macro game.
Really great units that can just kind of kill an army of the opponent. It's not, you know, he doesn't have the massive tank count. He doesn't have the Ravens really anymore. He's not got a massive amount of Thors or anything like that. So the DPS is really hinging on if these medevacs can boost on top. But now that the Thors are here as well, he's going to go for it. Hellions getting thrown into the Marauders, but absolutely everything is evaporating. ByuN is steamrolling this position, and after 31 minutes, Cure is finally going to tap out. ByuN wins in game number 5.
Wow, what a game. Honestly, from both of them, that was a pretty epic TvT. They saved the day for me, Gemini. I was getting so sad with how quick these games were, and then we had series number 2 start between ByuN and Cure, and the first 2 games were cheese that ended in like 10 minutes.
Dude.
I was ready to cry. Dude. And then they saved StarCraft.
He had the box of tissues right
Gemini.
there. Dude, that game lasted longer than I feel like the entire Maru versus Zound series.
It did. That was 30 minutes, man.
That was like, Jesus Lord.
Wow.
Crazy game. Like, actually ridiculous game. I had no idea who was going to win up until probably the last, like, 2 minutes maybe. Like, both of them just going back and forth. It felt like Cure's army was just going to be unstoppable at some point. It felt like the economic damage that ByuN was doing.
It was only those last 2 minutes. True.
To such a great extent, but it's like, okay, you got to eventually kill the army, right?
But GG well played. Once again, as you mentioned, it was a really rough game for ByuN. Like, ByuN, he was struggling to get any damage, struggling to really gain any momentum. Cure, he was able to get his 5th. Well, I mean, we were harping on it, right? We were talking about, like, the big moment for Cure was getting the 5th base. Getting the 5th base up running, and getting the 6th base as well, uncontested. And things looking dire. Things looking very, very dire for ByuN. Cure, he was ahead. He had the better army, had the better economy, until we saw that big rotation, right? That big rotation, it was like 20 minutes ago. But when ByuN killed the 6th base on the top right-hand corner of the map, when he rotated over, killed the base, killed the mineral line, rotated back, and then pivoted over towards left-hand side. And you remember, we commented on that. We were like, oh, are we going to base trade? Like, let's go. Like, how are we going to interact here? And we saw that Cure, he had to respond. He had to back off. He had to respond. He was stuck trying to keep up, and he was one step behind that of ByuN, as ByuN was being hyperactive and hyper-aggressive. Things are still looking a little bit rough there when we noticed, when the main casters noticed as well, that ByuN had no gas income, but he was still able to force mistakes out of Cure. That was like the big moments there, of course, was just the non-stop out positioning when Cure, he was trying to react and respond to all these drops, all these counterattacks. It was like heli run-bys, Raven harass, like Viking drops, Marauder counterattacks as well. And we saw that because of the chaotic defense out of Cure, he just kept leaving his tanks exposed, and he just kept losing tanks. He lost like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks for free time and time again. He was just rallying, he was like misrallying his tanks or leaving them exposed. I could say the same about the Vikings, say the same about the Ravens. Like, again, it was very messy play there by Cure. This was like around like the 15 to 20 minute mark where we saw some really messy play, and then ByuN was able to recover, bounce back. GG well played. So really impressive play there by ByuN to be hyper aggressive. It's kind of what we're known for. It's kind of what we love about ByuN is his hyperactivity, right? It's being able to be active and aggressive on the map, and it can be really difficult to achieve, especially against mech. That's why he had such a rough mid game. It was a really rough mid game there for ByuN, but he brought it back. Did bring it back. Meanwhile, shout out to the StarCraft Miniatures game again. We're still waiting for like the painting stream and the building stream from the RSL crew, so still waiting on that one, but hopefully they're able to bring it all together. And as a reminder, this is merely only day one of the RSL. We have day 2 tomorrow. Day 2 is going to be the rest of the upper bracket quarterfinals. It's going to be a PvP between Hero and Max and a PvZ between Rogue and Trigger. I can see that day of StarCraft being very short as well. Like that PvP, I can see it being like a 15-minute series, like can even go all the way to the ace match. Rogue and Trigger, Rogue has been hyper aggressive as of late, so we'll see if Trigger can get to a longer and later game, but has potential for a short broadcast as well. Regardless, if you want to support the RSL, you can do so via Patreon, !RSL in the chat. We do have the command. Likewise, you can help support them, help check them out. Here we go. ByuN looks so poor in the first game, and now is it the same ByuN? I mean, very different kind of game states, very different kind of skill sets are required. Remember, game 1 was a proxy, like it's like hyper aggressive, like hyper intensive early game. So different kind of game states. Glad this series was really long. The game was long, but sure. Still a short broadcast overall. But GG, well played.
So much cool stuff on this one. You got the Tastosis shirt, you got the RSL merch, you got stickers, you got pins, and there's a ton of other stuff that isn't even StarCraft or Tastosis related, just very cool gaming t-shirts in general. So yeah, check it out. It's a cool way to support StarCraft 2, support RSL, and another way you could support the RSL. We would love you if you haven't yet, even if you're watching live right now on Twitch and you're like, I don't need to watch the VOD, I watched it live. Go to the YouTube anyway. Subscribe, click the like button, leave a comment.
Just put it on another tab, play it all through to give us that algorithm boost. Just
catching
it doesn't matter. You love StarCraft.
That sounds like work, but at least click the buttons. Well, you can just put the
sorry, I do apologize for missing out on the YouTube chat. I was like hyper fixated on what was going on. I'm a 2.7k in Mars, Eric. I have a question. How do you fight versus Mass Liberators as a game help and says Liberators a week against Corruptors?
Call your grandma, call your uncle that doesn't talk to the family anymore. It doesn't matter. Just get them all to open these videos, okay? And support us. That would be so great. We would love it if you could do as much.
I mean, it's I would say that at that MMR, there's probably other things that you can work on that do help with that sort of thing, specifically in regards to macro, in regards to kind of like fundamentals. I say that just because I mean, going Mass Liberator doesn't sound very viable. Whether it's responding with Corruptors, whether it's responding with Hydras, both can be useful. But if your base like fundamental mechanics are lacking, then it's going to be hard nonetheless, right? I'm referring to being able to maintain an economy and maintain a high base count. I think one of the difficult things about Mass Liberator, especially if you're struggling, might just be the multitasking that it requires, right? When they're harassing bases nonstop and hindering your economy and making sure that you can't really afford much of an army. So I would assume that that's kind of what's happening if you're having issues with that kind of style, is like that early game defense to minimize losses, to be able to afford whether you react with Corruptors or Hydras or what kind of anti-air you need to respond with. Typically it's like it's getting to that stage, which is the hard thing. So of course I would say scouting is probably paramount. Scouting to see if something like that happens, then to be given the time you need to like mentally prepare and to get ready with spore crawlers and expand and drone and all that good stuff. But it's hard to get into too much specifics without seeing the games themselves. But otherwise, GG well played. Congratulations to ByuN for claiming the series. Meanwhile, shout out to Luis, GGG, baby guy in the chat. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you enjoyed your stream as we're just wrapping up. We're just wrapping up. The RSL did just conclude, but thank you so much nonetheless. Gracias, baby, gracias. Do appreciate it. We're going to be heading off and we're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. We'll give some love to sort of is streaming at the moment, and we did raid sort of yesterday, but we'll give some love to Eba instead, as We already gave sort of yesterday's raid, so we'll spread the love, man. Spread the love. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Again, we'll be back tomorrow with tomorrow's matches. It is going to be the PvP between Hero and Max Pax and the PvZ between Trigger and Rogue. So see you then. See you then, Pappy. See you then.